This is what I wish someone had told me before I started doing Hyrox. If you don't know me, hey, I'm Lily. I'm an online coach and a digital nomad. I travel the world whilst coaching incredible people online. So if you have a performance goal, you want to get stronger, or you just want to become an all-round better human, let me know. Drop me a comment down below. So I've been doing Hyrox about 3 years now, I think. And I actually first got into Hyrox because I was coaching someone for it. She was going to do a female open doubles, but unfortunately her partner had to drop out like so close to the race. So she called me up and she was like, Lily, what are you doing on Sunday? And yeah, luckily I was actually in the UK because the race was in Glasgow, I was in England. And so I then flew up with 48 hours notice to go and race with her in a couple of days time. And I'll be honest, even though I'm a coach and I was training her for this race, so I knew what it entailed, I was pretty nervous because I wasn't really a runner. I would say to myself, I am not a runner. And I knew she was a better runner than me, basically, so I was a bit worried I wasn't going to be able to keep up. But actually, we smashed it. We both really, really enjoyed it. And yeah, it made me want to train for it and come back for more. So that sort of started my Hyrox journey from there. Before doing that, I was into CrossFit myself. I'd say I was like an intermediate athlete. I'd done a couple of competitions that I really enjoyed. I absolutely loved Olympic weightlifting. I honestly didn't really do much running, but I did enjoy WODs as well. That was my sort of background before Hyrox. And before CrossFit, I was into the gym for a short while, but relatively new to it. Loved my strength training. And I actually initially got into the gym because I wanted to get stronger so that I could ride stronger horses, because that was what I was doing with my career and my life at that stage of my life. And to be honest, all the way before that, from when I was like 2, I've been a horse rider. So yeah, that's my little background into the sport. So when there's all these incredible athletes that have come from running backgrounds, swimming backgrounds, heavily endurance-based backgrounds, I just hard cannot relate. So if you are a strength athlete and you're going into Hyrox, this video is definitely going to be for you, because I think you're going to be able to relate to the points a little bit easier. Something I wish someone had told me before I started Hyrox is, girl, you need to run. Because there's running 8K, which I hope most of us can roughly do. If you can run 5K, you can probably run 8K. But running 8K with stations in between and carrying the fatigue in your legs and continuing to do this thing for at least 90 minutes is a long time to be on your feet. And it's a lot. One thing I really learned from doing my first and sort of second Hyroxes is that time frame that you're on your feet for is a lot, and it's something that you need to train. And it's something, having come from CrossFit, where we do quite small, to be honest, workouts. Like we're doing like AMRAP maybe 10, or EMOM 40 is probably the longest workout that I might do in CrossFit. Coming over to Hyrox, where my time was around like 90 minutes, I wasn't used to being on my feet for that long, like constantly moving. So if you're just starting out with Hyrox, I would 100% say you need to train being on your feet for that long. You can do that by just going on walks and then slowly building your running up to that. But also in your workouts in the gym, when you're doing Hyrox specific workouts, I believe they need to be long. And that doesn't mean they have to be intense and long, but I think you need to be like constantly moving for a decent amount of time, especially if you're training for a solos. And this is where solos and doubles, they're pretty different, and I kind of wish someone had told me that before I started Hyrox. So with doubles, if you're unaware, you do all of the running together as a pair, but you split up the stations, and you can split up those stations however you like. So what some people do, especially in the mixed doubles, no hate to the women, because we are definitely doing our part in this, but what competitive mixed doubles partners do is the men takes the majority of the station, and the female kind of like comes in when they need a bit of a break, so that if the female is the slower runner, they can then like keep up on the runs. I hate saying that because I think that men and women can race equally, but at the same time, just because of the makeup that the guy has, unfortunately, it means that they can go a bit harder for longer. So yeah, that's the strategy some doubles partners do. In my mixed doubles races with my partner, I would say he was taking like 70% of the work, maybe 65, and I was doing the rest, and this kind of varied station to station as well. But if we wanted to be competitive, I would try to get him to do as much of the station as possible because he is a much faster runner than me. So coming back to solos versus doubles, what I wish someone had told me before I started Hyrox is that they are just completely different ball games. If you're doing doubles, it's a lot higher intensity. It's probably going to be over a little bit quicker. You do get that rest, like I mentioned, when your partner's working. And you're probably going to be trying to send those runs a little bit more because you know that you can spend some time on the station recovering. You're also almost not relying on someone else, but you've got someone else with you next to you there, and you don't want to let them down and they don't want to let you down, and then you're kind of pushing each other. And honestly, I think doubles racing is so much fun, especially if you have a partner that's also into fitness. Like James and I have been together nearly 7 years now, and I have become a PT whilst I've been with him, and like we've gone through this fitness journey together, but always kind of been a bit separate. He does his thing in the gym, I was doing my own thing with CrossFit, and then it was really cool to come together and train together for doing our couple of mixed doubles races, and we've got another mixed doubles race coming up in a few months, so I'm excited to go through that again and train with him and race with him, and yeah, hopefully do our best performance there as well. But yeah, solos and doubles are super different. If you're just getting into Hyrox, I would 100% recommend doing a doubles first and just getting the lay of the land and then going into a solos. And I definitely think you should do a solos if you're into Hyrox, because it really is a true test of your fitness, of your mental capability, and you just need to keep pushing. If you're not like in the elite and sort of top end pro and things like that, it will be a sort of not a slower race, but like a steadier race, if that makes sense. So you kind of don't want to like burn out too quickly at the start, obviously, but the pace that you'll be going on your stations will probably be at a slightly lower intensity of what you would put forwards on a double. So for instance, let's say we got the row right there in the middle of the race. When you're on the row in your doubles, you're probably going to split it 500, 500 or like 350, 250, something along those lines, repeated. But when you're then just doing it for your solos, you've obviously got 1K to complete there. You wouldn't be able to do that 1K at the same intensity or pace that you could do the 350 meters or the 500 meters that you've got in the doubles, because you're doing that in the doubles, then you've got a little rest. Whereas on the solos, you've just got to go through. So you are going to do that at a slightly steadier pace so that you've still got energy to be able to run out of the station and then complete the rest of the race. So that's what I kind of mean by the solos is a little bit steadier. I wouldn't say it's necessarily like a low intensity, because it's not. You're still going to probably be in zone 5 the whole time and still pushing yourself, but you just need to bring it down like that little notch below doubles, just because you don't have that time to rest and recover from it. What I think I also wish that someone had told me before I started Hyrox is your background of sport before you do a Hyrox really depends on what your strengths and weaknesses are going to be. So like I said, I do not have a running background or endurance sport background at all. And me versus someone who's been, say, like running marathons or has a big swimming background or something like that, we are just not going to match up. And you've just got to kind of be okay with that. Whereas, like, yes, I could potentially be faster than them on some of the stations and stronger than them on some of the stations, especially something like wall balls. they're just going to be so much faster and fitter than me on the runs. And runs make up, I think I saw a stat, whilst it's like 50% of the race, I think you're actually running for like closer to 60% of the race. So yeah, there's obviously a huge amount of the race that if you're running at 6 kilometers, 6 minutes per kilometer versus 4 minutes per kilometer, it is completely different and will take such a different amount of time as well. Your background before you do Hyrox will slightly determine how you do, especially in your first couple races, but don't let that put you off, because you can 100% train something. It might just take you a couple more years to get to that level, which is totally fine, because we're all in this for the long run. We're not just taking this as a fad. We want to stay healthy and fit and strong forever. So that's the goal. When I first started Hyrox classes weren't necessarily a thing, but obviously I knew about sort of classes from previously doing classes in the gym, like a pure gym class, and then doing CrossFit classes. But then I actually did loads of open gym myself quite quickly after I started CrossFit, because I got a coach and I just wanted to get like as good as possible at it. I still did some classes as well, but I honestly just really like training by myself and pushing myself as well. And then sort of Hyrox classes come along, and I don't know how I feel about them, basically, is what I'm trying to say. If you're training for a Hyrox, you want to be competitive, like you want to be as competitive as you can be, if you know what I mean by that. You're not necessarily saying I want to be the top of this sport, but I want to do the best that I physically can. I personally don't know if Hyrox classes are the way to go for that. And no hate to any gyms doing Hyrox classes. I do think they're great for the social element, and they can be great to push yourself in workouts. But that's also where the downfall is. You might be pushing yourself in these workouts too often. Say you're doing 5 Hyrox classes per week. You might be pushing yourself intense 5 sessions per week, and you might also be doing like only 30 minutes of actual work. And then if we come back to my previous point on needing to be on your feet for 90 minutes or however long your Hyrox is taking, that might even be longer than that, then you should, you need to be training for longer than that, and you need to be training at a lower intensity. The reason for that is that we want to be building our aerobic base. Like I've been talking about, Hyrox is an endurance sport. You need to, if you don't have a background in running or swimming, you need to build that aerobic base. And I just don't think that Hyrox classes are the way to do that. The cat. However, saying that, I do think Hyrox classes do have a place. And like I said, they're great for social, they're great for pushing yourself occasionally. I think you just need to be conscious of your own personal strengths and weaknesses, what you specifically need to work on. And if you have come from a non-running background and you want to get the best that you can at Hyrox, I think you need to be putting a lot of time into actual running and the strength element that needs to come alongside running so that you don't get injured. What also is a piece of that puzzle is fueling, and something that I wish someone had told me before I started doing Hyroxes is that it is so easy to underfuel, especially when you are running quite a lot and you are like trying to train for this properly. When we were in Medellin training for our mixed doubles, I did a bit of a calorie deficit whilst training for that. But looking back at my photos, I felt like I looked so skinny. And I just don't think that calorie deficit and training for Hyrox, especially in race prep phase, go alongside each other. So if you are training for Hyrox, you're running a lot, you're doing lots of strength training, you need to remember to be fueling those sessions. By that, I mean you need to be eating a meal before you train, before you run, before every single session you need to be having some carbs, and post session you need to be having some carbs, some protein, some healthy fats, and a well-balanced meal ideally. This is something that so many athletes get wrong with Hyrox prep and also running in general, and to be honest, just a lot of sort of amateur racers like me, trying to prep their best, trying to look their best on the start line. We've got maybe videographers and people there to film us, and we want to look our best, but we also want to race our best. And to race our best, we need to make sure that we are doing everything to do that, which includes fueling and making sure that your gas tank essentially is full and ready for you to race that race. So if you do struggle with any fueling at all, please let me know. You can send me an Instagram DM and we can chat it all through, because I do not want anyone, especially if you're female, to be racing on an empty stomach or racing whilst underfueled. So that's going to conclude this video of what I wish I was told before I started Hyrox. I hope I have given you some helpful insights, some things to think about. If you have anything that you want to ask me at all about Hyrox, about anything that I've mentioned in this video, please drop them down in the comments below. You can check out my Instagram as well, and if you're looking for a Hyrox or performance-based coach, then you can head to the link down below and you can have a look at all my details there. But yeah, I'll see you in the next one.